Now you hear people talking about wet skimming and dry skimming. This is what we call flood skimming. So this skimmer here is doing absolutely nothing because it is set way too high. See, it is bubbling away like crazy and it's being flooded. And the whole thing's full of water and the water's all dripping back into the sump. So what we actually want to do is we want to turn the air down and we want to open the outlet. Now the outlet right now is fully closed. So that would explain it. So see, that was out. So if I just put that in and then I turn this, I'm going to turn this magical button here, and then what I'm wanting is for it to open up. So I want that, oh, it's going down. So what I actually want to do is empty this cup. Actually, I'll be back in a sec. So the cup's empty. So what we really want with this skimmer is we really want the froth to be in the middle of the neck. If the froth is white, we want it to stay in the neck. If the froth is changing color, we want it to come out of the neck. Now, if I close this gate off a little bit, if I make that close, I'm going to watch the bubbles come up because we're restricting the water going out. If I open that up, I'm going to watch it go down. So I'm going to close it off a bit, then I'm going to wait. Now, setting a skimmer in one sitting is sort of a waste of time because it needs to settle. So what I'd recommend doing is closing it a bit, then waiting for an hour or two and checking it. Closing it a bit, waiting for an hour or two and checking it. So let me just close it a bit more now. Okay, so I just closed it a bit and hopefully it'll come up a bit and wait. If you go jigga 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 jig, good luck. That may or may not work. I prefer to be patient and slowly get it right. Otherwise, it's frustrating. So, what's going to happen now is once the coloured stuff starts to form, that's called absorbate, and that's all the nutrients from the water that the oxygen's picking up. We want to close it a bit so the coloured stuff comes out. Now, if it's quite dark when it comes out, then we call that dry skimming. If it's quite light when it comes out, that's called wet skimming. Because if you wet skim, you'll get heaps of absorbate and it'll be lighter in colour. If you dry skim, you won't get much absorbate and it'll be very dark in colour. And there's different reasons why you might want to wet skim or dry skim. In a tank like this, it's relatively well populated with a relatively high amount of corals. I would probably go for a more wet skim. I'd want the coloured stuff coming out. But what I want to make you aware of is that within days, fatty acids and bacteria is going to form on the inside of this. So what is your best friend is just to get a little bottle brush or cleaner and just give that a bit of a clean on the inside every couple of days. You do not have to clean what's out. When it's out, it's out. You have to clean the neck because the neck stops more coming out. So you can let this build up and then you can take the cap off. But you don't wait for that to clean this or it'll stop working. So I'd like you to have a bottle brush or something and just wiping the inside of this every 2 days. It takes literally 2 seconds and then it means your skimmer will work very efficiently. So in the time that I've sat here, which is a few minutes, you can already see that this is starting to come up on its own, and I haven't touched it since it was down there. So that's why I say adjust it a bit, wait for an hour or two, adjust it a bit, wait for an hour or two. Because if you go and get it right and it creeps up on its own, which is pretty normal, then you've not set it right. So the best way to set a skimmer is run it a bit low, adjust it a bit, wait an hour or two, let it do its thing, and so forth. You've got to be patient.